All right, let's do this thing. Here we go. Welcome to the evening streaming of this. We're getting it in at the last minute on the 22nd day. And there's a reason for that, which I'll tell you here in just a second. So I'm going to go on here. I'm going to tag our guest this evening that's sharing his story. Let me turn this down real quick. All right, so we're going to tag good old Ian real quick. Let me find him real quick. There he is. All right, cool. So here we go. We're hopping on, and yeah, tonight things are a little different. I got to explain a few things first before we bring on our guest and show you the story because my day changed a little bit today. So this is really important. But first of all, Swim for Recovery continues to go on. So please take this domain name, send it out to your friends, post it on social media, send a text message out, put it in the email. Who knows? But people need to hear about it. So swimforrecovery.com campaign has been awesome. We're 22 days in, and I posted something earlier today about a struggle I was having, like a big disappointment I was having that I was going through. And that is important for me to share with you because a lot of people are tapping into Swim for Recovery. And here's why. So, about 4 days ago, my right ear started hurting a little bit. And as a kid growing up, swim team, all that stuff, I maybe thought maybe that kind of knew what was going on over here. But then my jaw was hurting, and I thought, oh man, maybe I pulled a muscle or something. I don't know, or I was stressed, which I don't think I am, and had some TMJ going. I don't know what was going on. Finally bit the bullet, went to go see the doctor this morning. And it turns out I have a middle and an inner ear infection over here on the right or on the left. In the right side, I've got an ear infection in the middle ear. So I have a double ear infection going on right now. What does that mean? What does that mean? If you're watching live or anything, put down what you think that means before I tell you. It means I can't be putting my head under the water, which is really hard to do when you swim. So I had to pivot. I had to make an adjustment. Well, today I was a little sad. I was disappointed in hearing that information because I've still managed to go 22 miles, the equivalent of 1,432 laps in a pool. Now, one lap in a pool, 1 mile is 66 laps. Okay. So today, what I ended up doing, because again, my ear was so painful, I was actually just interviewing our guest earlier tonight with my headphones on, and it was so much pain in this ear. It was crazy. So I started taking some antibiotics, some prebiotics, some probiotics, but currently I cannot swim. But Swim for Recovery lives on because I'll be running a mile in the pool starting tomorrow. I've got these special cool shoes so I can actually run in the pool. So I'll still be getting in 66 lengths in the pool. I'll probably use a kickboard and just keep my head above water. But currently, I cannot put my head underwater if I want to get better and not have any issues with my ear. So there's my sadness I will share with you. Yes, now we're going to step into Ian's story. But again, remember, this is a big party going on September 29th virtually and locally here in Denver. Details are at that domain name, September 29th. If you want more details, send me a message. But if you just go to the domain name in there, https colon blah, 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 then we can figure it out. So I'm going to bring on Ian and you can hear his story and I'll be back. Hey, here we are. Another recovery story on swimforrecovery.com. And not just any story, but another fellow swimmer. Ian, welcome to Recovery Story Session.
Thanks, Rob. I'm delighted to be here. And yeah, fellow swimmer. That's
Yep,
cool.
yep. Fellow swimmers is good. We're kindred spirits that way. And so you know the journey, you know the pain, you know the fun and joy and excitement and freedom that all comes with swimming.
And the exhaustion when I start upping my ante each time, if I have to go away on a trip and I come back in the pool after a few weeks, and I'll stick to the same target of distance and it will floor me.
Yeah,
It's,
it's
I like
amazing.
this. My shoulders.
yeah, you take time off and it's the journey of like when I started swimming after the first several days, it was like the tendon behind my knee was getting a little tender, and then I was like, that's not good. And then it was like the shoulder would start popping a little bit because I use like paddles and buoys. But then I was like, when I started going to the hot tub before, stretching and really getting the body warmed up, I haven't had an issue since then. But I have a different issue, which we'll talk about later. But hey, we're here talking about you, Ian. So, what would you
That's my favorite
consider?
topic.
What would you consider your sobriety date?
My sobriety date is March 16th, 2001.
Mm.
Uh, yeah, you want me to talk about the last time I used? I mean,
Well, we got three things real quick. Sobriety date. What were your drugs or drug of choice?
well, primarily cocaine and heroin intravenously, but I'm also a chronic alcoholic.
Right, it's a little cornucopia of stuff. So, and then where are you sitting right now?
So I live on the beautiful island of Koh Phangan in Thailand. And I'm sitting in my office, which is air conditioned, which is why I don't have that much of a tan. And I work on a resort here on the beach. So I have like we're actually on a pinnacle, so we have sea on two sides of our resort. And when I say resort, I mean rehab.
Yeah. This is one of those things I should have, done live, so we'll have to work on that one. I need to come out there and interview on the beach.
Yeah,
That would be
yeah, yeah.
that would be awesome. That would be, things aren't going that well in my world, but yeah, so we're talking about cornucopia of substances, and we got 21 years of sobriety under your belt, recovery, and which is awesome, and, I'm sure it's been easy sailing ever since you put stuff down 21 years ago, but let's talk about what led you to that moment of clarity when you needed to change your life.
Well, I mean, I've been coming to my first meeting was actually December 2000. So like a few months before my sobriety day. And I went into, and I'm okay about planning a meeting. I went into an NA meeting and I saw the steps on the wall. And I was actually taken to an NA meeting by a girl that was scoring drugs on me. In hindsight, it was quite funny. I was 12 steps by a customer. But I saw the steps on the wall and I believed them. I saw them before I even understood them. I read them and I connected to what they could do for me. And I, in hindsight, always credit that gift that I had, that I saw the steps and I had faith immediately. And then, yeah, I went into a whole kind of treatment process and that kind of put the brakes on it. When I turned up in treatment, I was really just praying that they could give me something to sleep and slept for that long. And as I was going through treatment, I was having this experience that was profound. And the guy that was my counselor, the great Dr. Robert Fiedler, he said to me, Ian, what's your mission? What's your purpose in your recovery? It's going to be more than just about not drinking or not getting high. What's the essence? What's going to drive you? And he was absolutely right. And so when I had my relapse was basically around a girl that I was with in treatment. And when she split up with me, it was enough of an emotional turmoil for me to go to a pub, drink non-alcoholic beers, alcoholically, and then come out of there and then score brown, score white, hit my arm, overdose again. But I had enough of a gift of exposure to the fellowships as well as the recovery inside the rehab that I knew that that was a persuader and that I was coming back. I picked up a white keyring on the 16th of March 2001.
Wow.
And I was just inspired by the stories and the people and the places and the things. And I wanted what they had.
Yeah, and you've turned that into such a cool kind of testimony in your own life and people you're helping along the way and stuff, but let's talk about maybe how it started for you, the addiction part, and how it grew to that moment you just told us about when you got some clarity.
I mean, sure, we could talk about my using. I don't usually talk about my stories so much. I've written a book and you can read all about it, but really, I was quite an adventurous. I got turned on to the film Woodstock, the festival. I saw sex, drugs, and nudity, and I wanted that, so I became a hippie. Then I realized that punks did more drugs than hippies, so I became a punk. Then I realized that ravers did more drugs than punks, so I became a raver. And I was fully immersed in the acid house scene at the turn of 1990 time onwards. Massively influenced by Mick Jones from The Clash when he left punk band The Clash and formed Big Audio Dynamite and this musical crossover that fused house music with rap and punk. And it just kind of tricked me into thinking that ecstasy was a good idea. And it was a good idea. I've got nothing but fond memories of ecstasy. But ultimately, yeah, I had 7 years of taking drugs to lose control, psychedelics and stuff. And then I had 7 years of wanting to be in control of heroin and cocaine. But people ask me, particularly civilians, ask me all the time, what is it? Why did you get clean? What was it? And for me, it wasn't about how poor my physical health had become. You know, I couldn't walk up a flight of stairs, couldn't bend my elbows, my knees, my ankles from where I was injecting. I couldn't breathe clearly from where I was smoking crack through plastic ventilator inhalers. I damaged my hearing because I crashed out in face spins. I'd taken so much psychedelics that my eyesight was all wavy. I was like constantly tripping. It wasn't that brought me to my knees. And it wasn't the fact that I had no money or that I was in debt, because I'd always never had any money. I was a squatter, a traveller, new age traveller, a raver, and I just lived by the streets, on the streets, code of the streets. I made money. I even made it by DJing and earning a little bit of money, or more importantly, by selling drugs whilst I was DJing. That's really why people came to hear me DJ, was to buy my drugs. And so I never really had any wealth. I just lived hand over fist and had a good time. And it wasn't about the fact that I had no more money. The reason why I chose recovery was because I could no longer tolerate the person I'd become. In those final few years, I hated myself more and more. The way I was treating the people that loved me, the way I was manipulating people that reached out to me, taking advantage of anyone's hospitality, just becoming more and more of that junkie archetype. And I couldn't stand it. I couldn't stand who I was being or how I was behaving around people that I knew loved and cared about me, and I just treated them so badly. And it was that spiritual and emotional rock bottom was what was motivating me to find out change.
So
That's
pow so powerful because most people, it is the exterior part. It is the things that we're talking about, and people say, "Well, it was because I got a DUI, I got went to jail or prison or whatever," and it's like, dude, yeah, all those circumstantial stuff, but you had an internal awakening, and and
absolutely.
and I look at you now, I mean, and you have this kind of internal awakening still in your life and all the things that you're doing, and tell people what the title of your book is. Let's plug that.
The title of my book is called "It's Not About Me." Guess what it's about?
It's about you.
It's my
Yeah.
autobiography. It's all about me, but it's about the spiritual principles that I came to understand when my head popped out of my ass and I realized the world is. It's actually called "It's Not About Me: Confessions to a Recovered Drug Addict and Alcoholic, from Living Hell to Living Fit." And I don't sell it. You can download it for free. I just give it away. I printed 2,000 copies and sold them in a few months. And ever since I just give it away as a download. But yeah, occasionally I tell my story when I'm at a convention, but generally I just start talking about recovery
Yeah.
and the gift of what the steps have given me and what being part of a community, my fellowship is Cocaine Anonymous, being part of that and then spreading that message around the world. I've consistently built meetings wherever I've moved houses or moved into new areas or new countries. I have a history of building fellowship wherever I go, and that gets me super excited. Um, I've been in Koh Phangan now for 2 years. I've been in Thailand for 5 years, but I helped form Cocaine Anonymous in Thailand and built the first meeting in Chiang Mai. Then I was in Phuket, and now I've been in Koh Phangan. I moved to Koh Phangan during the global lockdown because it was vibrant, man. Everything was going on. Everything was happening. The only thing that wasn't happening on this island was meetings. Meetings were really small. There was like four of us,
Oh,
and so
wow.
if two people didn't turn up to one of the meetings, the meeting was half dead. Um, and so I just stuck with it and built fellowship on this island. And we have an AA and an NA and a CA meeting on this island just to have some balance. But when we have like related announcements, it's island related announcements. It's 12-step related announcements. We don't care what the meeting is, we're all in this together. And there's very much a kind of island kind of, hey, this is the 12-step community rather than a fellowship specific community. We have a Facebook group called Copenhagen 12-step fellowship. So we're like not denominational, although we all come from different specific home fellowships.
Yeah,
That's
that's
why.
that's awesome. How many people live on the island?
Well, there's about 30,000 permanent residents, of which maybe 6 or 7,000 are Westerners. So we're like 20% of this island is, and all of the money basically is coming in from Westerners. Um, but then every once a month at full moon, Copenhagen is famous for the full moon party. Pre-COVID, we would have 30 to 50,000 guests every month. So the island would double or almost triple in size in terms of British population. Currently, the numbers are much lower since we reopened earlier this year. I think that we had about 15,000 come on the island earlier this year. So we'll get back there. The full moon party is really just a tourist attraction. It's not something the residents go to. We have our own.
Yeah.
I'm massively into the ecstatic dance thing. So there's a huge, not God step sober, but there's sober curious scene on this island. The ecstatic dancing, if you don't know, it's just like a sober rave for people that don't want drugs and alcohol and they want to dance and party. And my favourite one is on Sunday afternoon. It's from 11 a.m. till 3 p.m. So you go there, and I think there's like 150, 200 of us dancing in this huge, huge pyramid
Wow,
to
that sounds awesome.
dance music. And I've had spiritual experiences off that, or more spiritual awakenings off the back of my exposure to dance than I have from anything else. I love it.
Wow, that sounds amazing. I sit there and think of the when people step into their courage or their first sober dance and
Yeah,
going to dance sober, and you're like, man, actually I'm a pretty good dancer, or I'm not, but who cares, right? And just kind of what is that you see people
exactly.
experience that all the time?
So currently on the island, there's maybe 30 of us in recovery, and we encourage us all to come in and experience the ecstatic dance. But the trick is, and this is based on my experience, walk into that pyramid and just start. If you stop and think about it, you're out. You'll never make it past your own fear of everybody's looking at me, everyone's judging me. You have to just do it, face everything and recover. It's one of those. You just have to immerse yourself and take that risk and go for it. It's a great metaphor for everything in life. But I see many people that I take there, and they walk in, they're just like so scared because everyone's just dancing so freely and non-judgmentally. And as long as you can get through that first 5 minutes, you'll
Yeah.
change it.
Well, there's so much power in music and movement, and
Mhm.
especially with people with addictions and healing powers that go on there when you ignite the right side and left side of your brain, and then they're literally in sync with each other, and you're just kind of and you're just moving and grooving, man. And it's just like it's just good stuff. And I feel from you just talking and seeing your face and just your excitement that you love your life right now.
I've loved my life. I've loved my life in recovery. Don't get me wrong, I had some superb adventures when I was getting high. I went all over the parts of the world. I lived in India for a bit, I lived in the Caribbean for a bit. I spent 6 years in Western Europe, outside of the UK, in France, Holland, Germany, Italy. I had a great time. It was only really those last 3 years. I got sober when I was 29. I'm 50. I appreciate it. I look a lot younger. Thank you. But
It was.
it's
And here's
only
the thing, though, you didn't get the gray like me at 50. You got the same sobriety, but I got the gray. You just kind of stayed like dark and handsome that way. There you go.
you're very kind. But it's only really those last 3 years of my addiction, 26, 27, 28, 29, where I was having more and more of those emotional consequences and external consequences as well. But they were just lifestyle challenges. But really, my life was a frigging adventure when I was getting high. And since I've been in recovery, I settled into straight civilian life, got a wife who was also in AA, married, uh, two dogs, two cats, three horses, a career with well, I built some rehabs in the UK, and then I had my private practice, sober services. I was the first guy that was kind of trying to do companions and interventions outside of North America as a kind of company. And then later on, I built Sober Academy, so I was the first person that was delivering intervention training in a certifiable format outside of North America. So I've done quite a bit of pioneering, and then I think about 5 years ago, I started something called EARS, the European Association of Recovery Specialists, which is a bit like AIS, the Association of International Interventionists, or NII, Network of Independent Interventionists. It was kind of a European version of that. I gathered up 6 or 7 people from different European countries, and we met a few times, and we created this association to support recovery coaches, interventionists, companions. Um, I'm really proud of that. And then I moved out to Thailand. And someone suggested I should start ASK, the Asian Association of Recovery Specialists. But ASK isn't in the same ring as DS.
Oh man, speaking of ears, man, I was telling you before that I I got this massive ear infection that happened out of this swim for recovery deal that's going on. So even having these headphones on, like my left ear is just like ringing. So it is, oh man, it's just so intense. But we press on, we adjust, and we conquer, and kind of like recovery, right? We just kind of keep pressing on. But man, I love your story. I love your excitement for that. I'll have you on my podcast show for a full story of yours. Like later on this year, I'll reach out to you for that. But thanks
Let's
for
do it.
helping out with swimrecovery.com and just creating awareness. That's what we're doing, and again, just raising funds for helping people that can't afford like sober living or counseling needs. That's kind of what we're doing. So just
Sweet.
trying to give back a little bit that way too. So you rock. You're awesome. I look forward to staying more connected with you. And
Thanks, man.
yeah, that's good stuff. So I'll be in touch. I appreciate it. Thanks.
Keep raving.
There you go. Woo! All right. Well, there we are. Thanks, Ian, for sharing your story. We had an interview with Tammy set up earlier tonight. Also had to adjust. Sometimes you just got to adjust. And today was one of those days where it was just kind of off a little bit. I mean, this is throwing me off. And even coming down the mountain, I went to go hear an addiction talk over in Conifer, and even coming down the mountain, it was just my ear was flaming on fire. So we're gonna hope these antibiotics kick in tomorrow, and got the probiotics going, all the biotics. So that is it. But hey, please share the video with people. Make sure people go up here and check it out. And got a lot of traffic happening there, which is really cool. And that's it for now. So God bless. Have a great evening. I'm glad, like I said, I would do a mile a day and post a story today, and it's only 11:21 here in Colorado. So got it done. We'll be a little more on schedule tomorrow. And outside of that, God bless and have an amazing, I guess, morning, afternoon, or evening, depending on where